What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Samsung Galaxy S23 FE in 2024. I think this is a really good buy for going into 2024 here. And the phone you can find as cheap as $360 right now. And what's cool is that the S23 recently got the Galaxy AI features and stuff like that. So it just makes the phone just a really good deal. You can find also great deals on carriers and stuff like that, especially the prepaid ones run good deals on this phone as well. So this is a fantastic phone to consider at this price point. Now, the S23 FE pretty much has a flagship quality design, pretty much. It looks a lot similar to the S24. So you do have an aluminum frame on here, and then you have a glass back as well too. It is a glossy back, so you will pick up fingerprints and stuff like that, but overall the design pretty much looks identical to the newest Galaxy phones right now. Now this phone is a little bit sharp. It's not completely, uncomfortable to hold. It is, somewhat comfortable to hold. It is a little bit sharp on the edges, but yeah, it's not a uncomfortable phone at all, so that's really nice. And also it is IP68 dust and water resistant as well too. One thing I've noticed about the design is that the camera area, you always kind of have to clean in between these because it does pick up quite a bit of dust. But besides that, I really like the design, very modern, very flagship-like design here. Now let's talk about the display on here. So I did kind of clown this phone a little bit for having such chunky bezels when it first came out, and I still think the bezels are really chunky. And in comparison to the S21 FE, which I did that comparison with, if you guys check that out, it has chunky bezels, so it kind of takes away kind of like that flagship look, at least from the front of the device. But it is a very kind of like, minor thing. But if we're just talking about the overall display quality, this is still a top-notch display, and it is a 6.4-inch display. So why that is pretty important is because the regular S23 has a 6.1-inch display. So if you wanted something a little bit bigger that was kind of similar to the S23, but you don't want to pay, as much, you don't want to pay like a lot of money to get the S23 Plus or the S24 Plus or something like that, this is kind of a good phone to consider as well too. So yeah, it is a little bit cheaper than the S23 Plus or the S24 Plus as well, but the display is nice. It's a flat display, it's dynamic AMOLED, it is 1080p as well too, 403 for the PPI, and then it's also 120 Hz HDR10 Plus, and it is fairly bright at 1450 nits peak brightness. So I don't have any actual problems with the panel itself. It is nice, great colors, no real issues besides, the bezels are a little bit big. Alright, so when it comes to performance on the S23 FE, this phone still does a pretty good job with performance. Now, a lot of people did not like that Samsung put the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. It was a, an older chipset at the time. But yeah, so a lot of people didn't like that, but the thing is that the chipset is still pretty fast, and I haven't really ran into any type of performance issues really at all with this phone. I think the only thing is that this is not optimized to do HDR Extreme, which it definitely should be able to do, or not HDR Extreme, but it doesn't have the 90 frames option for PUBG. I think that's the only thing here. But it's still a very capable gaming phone with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. It's still very fast. I don't really have any type of overheating problems. Like, this phone does get a little bit warm, but I've never had it crash or anything like that. Now, again, I'm not a hardcore gamer, but from people who use the S23 FE, I've never really heard about like crashing issues or any type of overheating issues with cameras and stuff like that. It's just not there. So this phone, like I said, Snapdragon 8 Gen 1, you also have 128 gigs of internal storage, and then you also have 8 gigs of RAM on the base model, no SD card support. And yeah, performance wise, it's pretty fast. So I don't really have an issue with gaming performance on here. Like I said, it just needs to be optimized for, a few games, but other than that, you can still get really good performance out of the out of the S23 for sure here. And for those who want to see the Geekbench scores, these are scores on One UI 6.1. So if you guys want to see that, these are the scores that I'm getting if you guys want to compare them So still pretty, still doing pretty decent in the benchmarks. Let's check out the stereo speakers. We are at max volume. The speakers are pretty good on the S23 FE. Very good bass quality, very good balanced sound on here as well too. So the under the display fingerprint sensor, it is an optical one and it works fine. I don't really have any issues with it, so that's pretty good. You also have face unlock as well too. Now what's really cool about the S23 FE is we do have now the Galaxy AI features as well here. So let's go to Advanced Intelligence, and now you can see now we've got the AI features now, and that's a pretty big deal because it just brings so much life to this phone now that we have these features. So of course you got stuff like the circle to search and all that stuff. I don't want to go make this a whole AI video, but you do have these features on here which once was exclusive to the S24, but now you can see that it's come down to it's come down to the older devices. It's even coming down to the S22 and the S21 devices as well too. So I think that's really cool. So now you have a lot of these features, the photo editor, which is a big one as well too. So I think that's pretty exciting. I think the only thing that didn't come was the slow motion video. But yeah, a lot of this stuff is now here. So I think a lot of people will like the the photo editor and stuff like that. You can kind of just play with stuff and mess with it. So I think that's pretty cool that Samsung brought these features down. Now the photos are still pretty good on the S23 FE. It's a 15 megapixel standard and a 8 megapixel telephoto, 3x optical with a 12 megapixel ultra wide. You also do have 8K 24 video recording and then a 10 megapixel selfie that shoots in 4K 60. So you get really good settings on here, really good specs. The only thing it's missing is a dedicated telephoto lens, of course, but everything else is pretty solid on here. Still getting pretty much flagship quality photos on here. Very good shots, very good high dynamic range, very good colors on here, nice and vibrant. And when you do zoom in, you do get pretty good shots with this phone. Of course, not as good as a dedicated one, but you still get pretty good photos with this phone for the most part. And video also comes out pretty solid as well too. So I really don't have any issues with the S23 FE's photo quality. It does a great job in low light as well too. So like I said, no issues at all. You're still getting top-notch photo quality when it comes to this phone. Now I do think battery performance on here is definitely a highlight with this phone. You have some really good battery life on here. It's got a 4500 milliamp hour battery. It's got 25 watt charging, and then you also have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging on board. So I think the battery life is great. It definitely lasts all day, so I have no issues. I've never really had to charge this phone or worry about it like that. So I think that's really good. So I think across the board at this price point, it's a very, very good product, especially for people who probably, the S23 is too small. You probably want something a little bit bigger. I would definitely check this device out. I think it's pretty good across the board. So let me know what you guys think. Would you guys buy the S23 FE? Let me know and I'll catch you guys in the next one.